know I got you on this one, Coach. It ain't nothing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. The fanatic. But we keep it 100, keep it real. That's the only way we know how to be. Talking that sports talk. You know what I'm saying? Straight out of South Carolina. Upstate, A64. Yeah. The FANATTIC. The fanatic where we keep it OG. We talking sports, so I call what I see. I love the fans like they part of my team. I love the fans like they part of my team. Come rock with me. We got it jumping like it's that valley. I call my dogs out the pound, let's go eat. Turn on the fanatic, let's have a debate. Who really hold down the Southeast from state to state? What team hungry gon' eat everything up off they plate? Who the next one that's really gon' step up and be great? Yeah, the FANATTIC. The fanatic where we keep it OG. We talking sports, so I call what I see. I love the fans like they part of my team. Yeah, part of my team. I love the fans like they part of my team. Yeah, part of my team. I love the fans like they part of my team. Yeah. Don't forget to smash that like button. Comment, subscribe, all that. The fanatic. Yeah.
Welcome in, college football fans. It is the Saturday night snap count on the Fanatic Sports Network. Listen, man, this is our live stream every Saturday during the college football season. I put a poll out to my community. They said, let's start early. So I was like, all right, I'll get y'all some guests up in here and we'll get started early, man. I'm going to go ahead and bring on the guests, man. We got we got a good cast of characters today, man. And I'm talking about, listen, everybody's good at debate and everybody's here for the smoke. Let's keep it family. Let's keep it friendly. Let's not take it personal. And let's talk some football, man. First up the bat, man, we're going to talk about my man. Listen, man, this dude right here, man, he's an Oklahoma guy. He covers them. He knows them front to back. He covers all the college football, really. My man, Jason from Hall of Fame College Football. What's going on, Jason?
What's up, Coach I, man? Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Hey, man. No, man. Thank you for coming on, man. Shout out to the Hall of Fame Mafia for showing up in the videos since I've been on, man. I appreciate them, man. Listen, man, not for nothing. If you in the comments and you're not a part of the Hall of Fame Mafia, just know that they will come at you. Hey, you don't know what you're talking about. Don't go back at them because they're going to throw you with a barrage of facts. So there it is.
Hey, man, with the Mafia is definitely outspoken. They know what they're talking about. So if you want to bring real stuff at them about Oklahoma, then they're good with that. But you better bring it real.
That's right, man. Next up, man, it's my guy, man. Anytime I need to know anything about HBCU, I'm talking about in depth, man. And he is an Oregon fan. That's what a lot of people don't know about him, but he loved them Ducks, boy. I know I gave him a little hell after the Dogs beat up on the Ducks, but you know how it is. Let's bring my man in, Kobe Orr from the Blitz City Podcast. What's going on, Kobe?
What's going on, man?
What's up, man?
How you doing tonight, man?
Good. How you doing, man? Nice to meet you.
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing real good. Thank you for having me. Thank y'all for having me on.
Hey, man, I'm glad you're on, man. Oh, look at my guy, my co-host, the Stat Guy. The Stat Guy was having some technical difficulties, but he's back on here. He's had a piece of the Hall of Fame Mafia so far.
Yeah, we don't duck anything around here. We enjoy all the fun.
That's right, man. Last but not least, right now, man, we might have a lot of people checking in during the show too. We probably gonna go about an hour, 2 hours. This depends on how hype it get up in here, man. This is one of my co-hosts from Respect the Hedges. If you caught us on Tuesday, man, former Georgia wide receiver, Shawty Thad Parker, man. What's going on, Shawty?
What's happening? What's
up, man?
How's it going, fellas? It's a pleasure to be here, man. And I'm just really, believe it or not, I'm here to learn.
I need to throw that up there real quick before I did anything else, man.
That's right. I was about to say you got to do your horns down before we get started. I do want to say too, man, Shawty has a podcast that he does on Wednesday nights called My Own Damn Opinion, because he has opinions about everything.
That's right.
Hey, man.
I'm gonna take it easy tonight, because like I said, I'm here to learn.
Okay, that's fine. Before we get started, man, I like to give shout outs to the people up in the comments. Shout out to Adela, man. She was up in the piece like 15 minutes early, man. I definitely telling people to check in. That's what I'm talking about. Hank is up in the building, man. So she was up in here. She was like, check in. Hank is up in the building, man. Let's see who else we got. We got AG Biochemist say Kansas State had an athletics surplus gear sale today. Massive turnout of K-State fans. We really ready for football. That's right. Everybody ready for football. Another one of our co-hosts from Respect has his former tight end at UGA, JV Javaris Johnson. What's going on, my man? All right, Stream Elements. Okay, that's a part of your HOF Mafia, Jason.
Yeah. It just keeps too much craziness from getting in there.
Okay. That's what's up. A perfect cracker is in the building. Say, what the hell have you guys? They already up in there. They already up in there, man. So let's not belabor the point, man. Let's go ahead and get started, man, with some of these topics, man. We're gonna talk college football realignment. It's getting wild and wacky out here, fellas. Wild and wacky. The latest is the ACC. Stanford and Cal. So, Shawty, you said you saw it was 4 teams that voted against Stanford and Cal. I know Clemson was one of them.
Right.
Okay. What y'all feelings on this conference realignment? Is it helping or hurting college football? Jason, you can go out.
I think that there's a price to pay for it. As far as all this money grab and everything that we're doing, but I don't know that it's necessarily hurting it overall. I think that when you start looking at you're going to have some matchups that people want to see. I think that you want to see Oklahoma playing Georgia and Alabama every year, or one of them. I think you want to see Texas doing the same thing. And I think you're going to get a lot more of that. Unfortunately, you are losing some of the rivalries, but it seems like the way that the more the realignment kind of comes together, the more you're going to see some of these cool matchups. I mean, even when the Big Ten, when you start looking at, you want to see SC and Oregon and those guys playing against, Ohio State, Michigan, because the Big Ten don't really play nobody throughout the year, generally most years. So I think it's unfortunate that you lose a conference, like the Pac-12, but I also think that, that was a series of mismanagement steps by, the last commissioner, the entire conference presidents, pretty much all of them, and then the new commissioner as well. So I think that, when it comes to all of that stuff, I mean, I don't, the blame game is kind of weird, but it is what it is. I just like to see, I want to make sure that you continue to see some of these big matchups, and I think it's unfortunate for Washington State and Oregon State right now, but I have a feeling they're probably going to land somewhere.
I was about to say, there are 2 of the in-state schools where their partner school has left, but they hasn't made a huge stink about it, kind of like some of the other schools. Kobe, you're an Oregon fan. How you feeling about the Big Ten, man? It's cold up
there. I mean, I'm glad we landed somewhere. I don't really mind it right now, but I'm gonna miss the Pac-12, man. I'm gonna miss us as a conference. Now the roads to the college football playoffs got a little bit harder for us. So it is what it is. But no, I don't hate it. I just wish the Pac-12 have done more to keep ourselves alive, and we didn't. ESPN threw us an offer out there for $35 million to school. And I think we counted with wanting $50 million to school, and they said absolutely not. So I just kind of hate that we didn't do more to keep ourselves afloat. But no, I don't mind the Big Ten right now. I'm actually kind of liking it.
Okay, Shawty, what you thinking, man? Good for college football? You know what I'm saying? You liking it? Is it causing it's taking a lot of tradition away? You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of these traditional rivals we're not gonna get to see. Oh, and before you go, this is a comment to you. Adela said she liked it. She liked the Georgia Bulldogs. She knew that we was gonna win it again last year. People don't understand the hunger to defend the title. Oh, that's right. hopefully we still got that hunger to try to get this three-peat.
That's right. That's right. Anything else would be uncivilized. Um, so yeah, but it's so many, positives and negatives on both sides of the equation. And coach, you kind of put me in a bad spot right here because I have to save some ammo for my fan fight on Tuesday. So if I say too much here, I'm gonna be giving away.
I'll mute you.
So, but what I will say, there are a lot of positives and negatives on both sides. I mean, when you think about just from a logistics standpoint, just like you said about tradition, and at the end of the day, we just thinking about football.
Yeah.
There are a lot of other, sports involved in this, and when you're talking about logistics, this is going to be, good luck with that. But like I say, coach, you just put me in a bad spot. I don't want to say too much.
Hey, after I asked you, I was like, that's gonna be the fan fight.
Right.
That's a stat guy, man. What is conference realignment? What you got on it, dog? What is doing to college football?
I mean, college football, it's fine, right? I mean, college football, it's going to bring more money. More money means more money for the schools, hopefully more money for the athletes. We'll see if that actually trickles down with NIL. But in reality, they're going to kill college athletics as we know it. Like these schools, as far as like women's soccer, the Big Ten plays women's soccer on Thursday and Sunday. You're now talking about Oregon flying to Rutgers for a Thursday night game during the middle of the school year around exam time, and then having to bus or fly back to Michigan and then have to fly all the way back to Oregon. Like, it's going to kill these other athletic programs as we know it. They don't get the same money that the football team does. They don't get chartered flights and these special things. They're sitting at the regular airport with the Jimmys and Joes waiting on a plane to land. The plane gets, gets delayed. They don't get their own special takeoff. So I do worry about college athletics as a whole. But end of the day, you need the football money to run the school. So I guess you got to do what's best for them. To the Oregon State point, we say this all the time. I think Oregon State and Washington State are licking their chops that they're going to invite the Mountain West to become the Pac-12. And they're thinking, hey, we're still Power 5. We get a free ride into the playoffs every year.
See, I don't know, Joe. I'm like Jason talked to, man. Like you think the Pac-12? I think they're gonna blow up, and even if they stay a conference, they might have to move down to the Group of 5.
Yeah, I think that you're headed towards, and we'll see what happens with the ACC. I know that's probably the next thing you wanted to talk about, but
yeah,
I think the way that it looks like is going to happen, I think that FSU isn't going to allow itself to stay in the ACC for much longer. I don't know how they're going to get out of it. I mean, there's, that's for lawyers and everybody else to work out, but it seems to me like you're going to go to a major 3 conferences and I think it's easy to say that the Big 12 isn't going to be the same as the SEC for sure, but it certainly won't. And probably even the Big 10 for that matter. But I think that they've got enough teams that are decent enough that they're probably going to keep it pretty similar. So I think it's going to be that they've been calling it this A3 model or whatever, the major shows that I watch, but I don't think I think it's going to 3 power conferences, and the one thing about the Big 12 is that they've got basketball schools like crazy. So I know football is what stirs the drink now, but you can't say that the Big 12 is completely irrelevant when they have that many powers in basketball. I mean, you've got Arizona, Houston, Kansas, Baylor. Kansas and Baylor have won 2 of the last 3 national championships,
Yeah.
So, and so you start looking at that. So, and then Houston's the number 1 seed all the time. Arizona's going to be, one of those programs that are going to do the same thing. Texas Tech's been in the championship game recently. That conference got definitely better in hoops. Then they've got Coach Prime in Colorado too with football, plus Utah, who, they fancy themselves a power program, but we'll see. Hey. We'll see whether or not they're going to continue to do that or not. But to me, they obviously have a lot to prove on the football field, but I don't think that you can discount it because I think that basketball is definitely, it's going to change the way that they do business too. I think that Brett Yormark has made it pretty clear that he's not just giving it away anymore.
Yeah, go ahead. Hey, yeah, I was gonna say as we go along, man, y'all have a point, just jump in, man. We're gonna keep it like just it's an open discussion. Go ahead, Shawty.
I was gonna say, but with I don't think the Pac-12 will have to back down if they could stay alive and get more teams in. Ultimately, thinking about football, I mean, you're going to a 12-team playoff, and with them still continue to be a Power Five, I mean, that should guarantee them a slot or a chance to play, and that's all you can ask for, right?
Yeah, but do you think they're gonna add the Mountain West? Because that's like what Air Force, Colorado State, Boise
Hawaii.
State,
Boise,
Hawaii.
San Diego State.
Is
Well,
that
well,
what's
long,
on the table for them right now?
as long as they consider the Power Five, I mean, they're just going to kind of almost guarantee them a slot in the 12-team playoff.
I think that they're going to change that though. They're about to blow the whole thing up. You know,
See, that's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
I'm like, I don't know if they're gonna be able to hold on, and I'm of the belief it's gonna eventually. I don't know how long 2 super conferences, but like Jason
Yeah.
said, the Big 12 do hold that. They pretty much hold the candle over everybody in basketball almost. With a couple of teams here and there. Biochemists say, will the Olympic sports just keep their regional conferences at some point to minimize expenses, like wrestling, like not traveling, like only playing? See, that's what I don't know. I don't know how deep that
But
goes.
that's why you signed the TV contract to get that money.
But so to answer that though, like South Carolina's men's soccer plays in Conference USA because the SEC doesn't have a men's soccer league. The SEC doesn't have men's wrestling, so Mizzou wrestles in one of those other conferences because enough teams don't field that sport within the conference to actually do that.
But I guess to his question, if the other conference that you're going to does have enough teams, can you still say, hey, we're going to play in the Mountain West when it comes to soccer because we can't be traveling? It ain't even about the money shot. I know you said that's what they're going for, the money, and travel expenses might not be a problem, but like going to a volleyball game in the middle of the week and then have, what I'm saying? It's not like football. Football their travel arrangements are, are more, I would say, like organized than everybody else's. You know what I'm saying? Like, whereas a volleyball team might have to roll out on Wednesday and be back in class on Friday. That's a lot on the body, though. You traveling from Oregon to Rutgers.
Thanks.
So, and then what does this do to the group of 5 with all this realignment? Do they get a spot in the playoffs? Like Kobe, didn't one of the HBCUs like in 2022 just start in group of 5? Like one of them, I forget what school it was.
Not in football.
Not in football?
No. Not. There's no HBCU in the group of 5. They were having talks about this. A discussion came up, and really, it's not even. HBCU shouldn't even be thinking about it at this point. It's just not lucrative for them right now. FCS is really the spot where they need to be. And I feel like a lot of them just want to make the jump to FBS because you get to call yourself an FBS school, but there's a difference between being an actual FBS school and masquerading as one. Okay, that like the cost that it takes just to get there now, because they just update the requirements is crazy. Like a lot of these schools, they don't have it. So HBCUs need to stay where they at right now, as far as that goes.
Okay, and then biochemists say, well, somebody starts considering adding like North Dakota State, San Diego State. I know North Dakota State has won their Division II or FCS for a long time, but I don't know. I think there may be some requirements on how big your school got to be. I don't know about all that. I know like when Missouri and Texas A&M came to the SEC, Missouri was basically part of the deal was that they upgrade their stadium. They're in the process of like a 5-year upgrade so that they could get a bigger stadium because that was one of the caveats of coming to the SEC. And I'm not just talking about stadium, but I don't know if North Dakota State is. San Diego State may be a little bit closer than North Dakota State because San Diego State, aren't they, Jason? Are they in the Mountain West?
Yeah.
Yes, they're Mountain West. They're Mountain West. So they and that was one of the things they were. The Pac probably could have saved itself already if they were going to do that. They had an opportunity. San Diego State had already given notice that they were leaving the Mountain West.
Yeah,
and it ended up it was going to cost, but they could have done it before, I believe it was before the end of July, and had they have done that, then it's like $13 million to get out. Well, then that expired, then it became 30-something million, and then the Pac didn't bring them in. So I don't know exactly what was going on. It seemed to me like I know the Big 12 made sure to add those other new schools, those 4 new schools to the league before they went and negotiated a contract, which was smart on their part, and they even jumped ahead where that was the other place that the Pac-12 really screwed up, was when they had that exclusive negotiating window. And this was last year. They had that whole month that they had time to negotiate. And like Kobe said, they had like somewhere in the neighborhood of $30 to $35 million was on the table. And they overpriced themselves.
That ain't gonna cut it though. That's the problem. When the SEC and the Big 12 folks get 70 million, 35 just ain't gonna cut it.
Right, but what it ends up with the Big 12 itself, they signed at 31.7. They're going to end up getting upwards of 50, is what it is. It's still going to be behind. It's 40 million behind. There's no two ways around it. That's where Brett Yormark.
And look at that over 4 years, 5 years.
You're screwed. Yeah, you're screwed.
You got $200 million.
That's why they're doing some other stuff to try to bump up the revenue in other places with doing some stuff with they're talking about a Mexico thing. They're Brett Yormark. The one thing about him is that he comes from he was working for Barclays Center there in New York, and then he did the rebrand stuff for like NASCAR a while back. This dude's a smart guy. So I feel like he's moving in the direction of bringing in these teams too. I mean, he ran circles around George Kliavkoff. That was all there was to it. So he went in, jumped ahead of the line, got the deal that the Pac-12 was going to get, and then just kind of waited it out. But even then, they offered them an opportunity to merge, which is what should have happened, right? Yeah. They should have merged the rest of the conference. Had they done that, then you probably keep Washington and Oregon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At this point, now you're looking at it as they had to do what they had to do as far as the four corner schools. You're talking Colorado, Utah, and the Arizona schools. They kind of had to do what they had to do, and I don't know that Stanford. I don't know what they're thinking. It's a weird deal with me that they even are wanting to go to the ACC, particularly because Olympic sports is their thing. But you're talking now. You're going to have to. That's a lot of travel on those schools, and to not get that much in a conference that is. It's not very stable, so it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I'm not understanding what they're talking about on that part.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if any of y'all know, but I think I heard from Blue that the Ivy League conference was talking to Stanford about potentially joining that. That was the thing, right?
Yeah, I heard that yesterday. That was on the cusp of I guess Stanford feeling like they wouldn't get into the ACC, and that's really in my mind, that's what Stanford brings to the table is academics.
Right.
Like you say, same with Cal Berkeley. For those that just see Cal on the helmet, it's actually Cal Berkeley. So, I mean, where else you gonna go, man? Like they don't bring any value monetarily, though.
But what I'm saying, if you decide to do that you lump those schools in that particular section, where does that put you in the grand scheme of things?
It makes like some of the Ivy League schools, Olympic sports, they, I ain't gonna say they take it serious, but that's what their important stuff is. You know what I'm saying? Like you'd hear about a Harvard swimming or golf or polo team before you heard about Princeton's football team, unless you was actually watching it or
non-revenue stuff. Yeah,
the non-revenue stuff, and that's where it's crazy because I don't know, man, it's just like Stanford and Cal literally don't bring anything to revenue sports, bro.
But I think the tough pill to swallow with that is the Ivy League is FCS, if I'm not mistaken. They're not FBS. They're not FBS, they're FCS.
That's
so
correct.
Now you're talking about taking a full step down from your football program. I mean, they're Division I in every other sport, but it's like, how do you get your athletic director to sign off on stepping out of getting to play for national championships and relegating yourself to a smaller conference?
Do you think it matters that much to Stanford, though? Like, yes, Stanford, like for those who don't know, the Directors Cup used to be the Sears Cup, whatever they call it. It's like the best overall program in sports. I know Stanford cares about that, but do they care about being able to compete for? I mean, they won 3 games last year. It's been downhill since David Shaw's one or two good years, and I don't know if they really care that they don't get the. It's kind of like to say that. I'm not saying Vandy doesn't care about football. What I'm saying is they care more about other, non-revenue sports than they do football. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. So, Shaw, do you have something? You was gonna say something on that?
No, but what I will just say is, at the end of the day, Brent, just what you said is correct. But I'm gonna guarantee you this: life is always better on campus when football is thriving.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I believe that. But right now, you think the students at Cal care?
Probably not.
I'll be honest with you, dog. They like, if we good, but if we not good, it's like I don't know if they. And then when it comes to the, like you say, the admins, the guys that's actually making the decisions, I think that was why Notre Dame was trying to get them to come to the ACC. Like a lot of the presidents would mean it brings prestige to the ACC academically, but football wise, it's like nobody's gonna tune in to watch Stanford versus Duke, dog.
It was weird when they fired Sonny. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because they had kind of dipped a little bit, but he had them pretty good. And then
I think that was one of the first steps in showing football is important, but it ain't that important because Sonny Dykes is a good coach.
Yeah, man, and that's the whole thing. I saw something about Marshawn Lynch was there, and he was pissed. He was like, "Where the hell is everybody?" There was nobody in the stands. Like literally, he said you could hear people from across the way, because there was nobody there. And that's what it's crazy to me that, and I think that as the conference as a whole, and I'm not saying this about like Washington, Oregon, or Utah, or and even some of these Arizona schools, but I think that the conference as a whole, and something that you've seen, is that that's been their attitude about football for a while, about sports period for a while, that they just don't care about it. And when you look at even after Lincoln Riley got to USC last year, and they're winning. I mean, they're winning, and they're not even coming close to filling up the Coliseum.
Do you think that could just take some time, though? Don't you think?
I think it can, but what I'm telling you is that they always use that excuse. Well, we got so much other stuff to do in Southern California. We can go to the beach, and we can do this, and we can do that.
Hey, it is nice out there in LA.
It is nice out there, but bro,
we went out there for the Natty. Shout out to the dogs. It was nice out there in LA. It's a lot of stuff to do, man. It's a lot of stuff to do. So,
but
with that said, go ahead, Jason.
Think about those Pete Carroll days. The Coliseum was packed, Okay. But if you look up and down that conference, you weren't seeing that as much. You would see it in places like Utah, Arizona. Whenever a good school comes in, whatever. Yeah. But you weren't seeing it a ton everywhere else. I mean, I think Washington State and Oregon State, they pack it out, but the California schools weren't. And even at Colorado, it had dropped quite a bit, So
it's I don't know, man. Especially with these guys leaving, Cal and Stanford got to figure out they got to figure out how important football is to them, because they either got to say we're gonna go all in with football, or we just gonna let it fall by the wayside, and then they can play UConn every year or something. I don't know. But what y'all think this is going to do to the college football playoffs? Because it's already the 2024 season is supposed to be the first 12-team playoff, right? Yeah. Is it going to stay 12 teams, or are we going to have to move to 16 teams, Sean?
I think it stays at 12 for a little while.
Go ahead, Kobe.
No, I'm saying I think it stays at 12 for a little while. I think they'll try that out for a few years, and then if the noise starts to come up again, we need 16. I don't know. I can't see 16. I think 12 is just the right number. I think that's what we should have started out with instead of 4. I can't. Not to say that it won't happen down the line, but I can't see 16 right now. I just can't see it. I think 12 is the perfect number for it.
All right, so Shawty, you played in bowl games. Bowl games happen most times, unless you're in the playoffs during the Christmas break. But what you think, like a 12-team, 16-team playoff going to look like? Because that's going to have to spill over into school, ain't it?
Well, yeah, that too, and at the end of the day, you have to think about this too. We never phantom, a 14 playoffs, at some point in time. That's just a natural progression. Money drives everything. And now what you're having these, as we've been talking about earlier, these mega conferences coming together. I mean, that's just where it's headed. And it's all about the money and the TV money. And the more games you have, the more money it is. And it's always going to be, if you have 12 teams, it's going to be that 13th and that 14th team who somebody said they should have got in. And that just drives the momentum, the fans and everybody. And once again, it just creates more money. So
do you think the hold up? Do you think some of the hold up been though, like how they going to arrange some of these football player schedules, during the playoffs?
Like I said, at the end of the day, when you talking about money, look at man, they just like me being a Georgia guy, they let you off school on that day to go down to Florida early. So what I'm saying is, we'll make concessions for the money. If it makes sense, they'll make concessions at the end of the day just to put it in a nutshell. They'll figure it out. It'll all work out. Trust me. That's just like with the whole, the conference realignment thing. It sucks from a logistics standpoint. It's going to be a pain, but trust me. The money is going to override everything, and it's going to make every other sport make concessions.
It always does.
Oh, you're right. You're right. And at Georgia, I remember my freshman year, we actually, I want to say the Braves went to the World Series. We canceled classes and everything so we could watch the game. Hey, big time. I told them after the first Georgia championship in 2021, they was like, oh, these people got to go back to school. I was like, man, ain't going to be no school Monday, man. What's wrong with y'all? So you might be right. You might be right. What's your thoughts on it, Jason? I mean, stay sticking at 12 for a couple of years, man. Or they, like Shawty say, man, 13 and 14 going to be like, we good enough.
Well, and I mean, we talked about this on my show when you were on there. This ain't about access. If this was just about who's going to win the thing, you would stick at 4 probably, or maybe jump up to 8 if it was who's going to win the damn thing. But that's not what this is about. This is definitely about money. This is about adding as many weeks to this thing as you possibly can. They got a whole month for NCAA tournament, and they're making shit tons of money there. So I mean, they kind of trying to do the same thing with football. I mean, they're able to. I mean, it's already a huge money explosion. But imagine this right now, and if you're ESPN and you're hearing about how much money that they're losing with Disney and all this other stuff, right? And they're laying off people by the thousands. Then and plus they still got to pay out all these schools, all this large amount of money, whether it be in the Big 12 or the ACC and then the SEC, $75 million.
Yes.
I mean, look, they're not gonna. It's not going backwards. You're not putting the toothpaste back in the tube. It ain't happening. So you might as well just figure that it's going to continue to move forward. Again, if it was about competitiveness and who's going to actually win the thing, then you stay. But that's not what it's about. It's definitely about giving access to teams or making them think that they can. That you're going to get an invite to the party, but we're going to kick your ass out of there pretty quick.
Yeah. That kind of goes like a conversation me and Shaw to be having about who can actually win it, and I don't think there's a lot of teams that can actually win.
7, maybe 6, 7, 10 tops. 4. Okay, 4.
So is that gonna do something to these regular bowl games? Because we've expanded like from the time we was in school, late 90s, to now, man, they've added so many, just to me, crazily boring bowl games. But it's because, like y'all say, it's the money. Where the bowl games going? Are they going to replace the bowl games with some of these rounds of playoffs? What we doing?
Those gonna be the playoff game.
All your New Year's 6 games are becoming playoff games. Offer up. That's offer up. And then from there, I'll be honest, I think it starts at 12, but then after 2 or 3 years of the Big 10 and SEC getting 10 of the 12 teams in, they're like, oh, this isn't fair. Now they got to bump it up to 16 and 20. But it doesn't matter how many teams they add. The upper echelon of the Big 10 and the SEC are just going to continue to pile on and get in over these other teams. When you're trying to add a 2-loss SC or 2-loss ACC or 2-loss Big 12 team, you're going to find a resume just as good, if not better, in the Big 10 or SEC, and it's just going to keep adding on. And that's what's going to end up driving up the total amount of teams, is trying to make it fair for everybody.
That's where I think you gotta go ahead, Kobe.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, like, when it came to those bowl games, I think I read somewhere that the Fiesta Bowl, Peach Bowl, Rose Bowl, and Sugar Bowl were going to be the quarterfinal, and then the semifinals was going to be the Cotton and the Orange Bowl. So yeah, I think the playoffs game is just going to be those New Year's Six games.
Well, what about like the Outback Bowl, the Gator Bowl, the Citrus, you know what I'm saying? The old bowls, like as we was growing up, like the Gator Bowl, the Citrus Bowl, those was big bowls. Now they kind of like, not for nothing when fans be going at each other, they're like, oh man, you played in the Gator Bowl. It's almost like a punchline now, but with the CarQuest, Meineke CarQuest Bowl and things of that nature, that's them the bowls I'm talking about, not them New Year's Six Bowl. What we doing with them bowls?
I think they'll still be there. Not everybody's getting invited to the party,
Hey, the 6 and 6 Oklahomas of the world got to have somewhere to go.
Ooh, there you go. There you
but
go.
As you expand the playoff, those bowls will become more important.
You saying the people that's missing out on the playoffs are, but we already seeing a lot of kids skip these bowls when it ain't a New Year's Six bowl. If they don't make the playoff, you think they going to Hawaii for the Hawaii Bowl, bro?
No. They might go to Hawaii, but they're not going to Hawaii for the bowl. They're not going to speed up and strap it up and get some licks in.
Or they could just go and not take it serious. Now those games end up looking like the NFL Pro Bowl. Like they. Just,
because like Shawty, if I'm not correct, don't matter what bowl you go to, you still get a little stipend, don't you?
Oh yeah, for sure. And the further you go, the travel is better. But what I'm saying is, if they expand the playoffs, certain of those bowls will become more important, because those would be those, I don't know whether it's Super 16 games at some point or whatever they call it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So.
Okay. No, yeah, like I said, I know the bracket play, however we want to call it, for the playoffs, those bowl games are definitely going to be important. And then I know they toying around with conference champions. At least at the beginning, they was talking about conference champion, automatic bid. Okay, if we go to the point where we got 3 super conferences, so we're gonna just say just them 3 get in, then I think
it'd be 2 each, right? If it's 3 super conferences, I think if you get to the conference championship game, you're in. But then you're playing for a bye week, right?
Yeah, seeding. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like like at the end of the basketball season, like you're in, but if you play better, you can get a higher seed and you stay closer to home or something like that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, man. It's just getting crazy out here. This is what conference realignment is doing to football. It's going to affect the playoffs one way or another, man. But just moving on, man. Like I saw a list today. Money is a big driver to all of this that we're talking about. And schools are seeing some of these coaches come in first year, have success. And I think that puts pressure on other schools. They say Dan Lanning came into Oregon first year, getting crazy and almost like, at least at the beginning, it looked like they, other than the Georgia game, looked like they might be headed for the Pac-12 championship. So now they putting that pressure on other coaches. You know what I'm saying? I think I asked Jason, maybe some other Oklahoma people, man, like, okay, I know you're thinking 10-2, 11-1, but what if Brent Venables goes 7-5 this year? Is it potential hot seat for him?
Well, yeah, I think it would be. It's not going to get him fired, probably.
That's tough.
Well, here's the thing: the way that his contract is written, it would cost way too much money to get rid of him right away.
Is it like Jimbo crazy? Is it like Jimbo crazy?
It's not that big, but the buyout part of it is, I mean, they would basically have to pay for the full 4 years essentially anyway. So they're going to give him as close to that, I think, as you're going to get. It's not Jimbo money, no. But I mean, Oklahoma's not stupid when it comes to that kind of stuff. So, I mean, Jimbo freaking. I tell you what, Jimmy Sexton is something else. To be able to build a market there for Jimbo that wasn't really there was hilarious to me, because they thought they were getting Lincoln Riley at first, right?
Yeah.
And I think that Lincoln was kind of making it look like that too,
Yeah, it was a lot of like hearsay about that.
Didn't get a call until after all that went down, right? Brian Kelly didn't get a call until after all that went down. Yeah. In any event, 7-5 to me. Look, if it got to that point, and I mean, that's a huge if, because what Stat Guy didn't give you the other day was stats. You know, you can get a whole lot of stats out of him. You got a whole
Kobe,
bunch
you
of
haven't had a chance to watch our Oklahoma preview. Stat guy said the floor for Oklahoma was 5-7, and the ceiling was 7-5.
Silly talk. When Oklahoma comes in, when Venables gets there, he not only he salvages the top 10 class. South Carolina never had one of those, so he wouldn't know what he's talking about when it comes to that kind of stuff. You know, and then the next year they get a number 4 class and they're killing it in the portal. You're bringing in guys along the defensive line, which is what they needed the biggest amount of help in. That was the biggest thing. You got guys like Rondell Bothroyd that came in. That guy he's been a killer at Wake Forest already. You know, Devon Sears, he's doing his thing at Texas State. He's gotten a chance to move up. They brought in Jacob Lacey. I think there's going to be some issues with him as far as health is concerned right now, but he was a 3-year starter at Notre Dame, you know, and at the defensive line position. Then they go out and get a freshman All-American in Deshaun McCullough from Indiana that plays the edge, cheetah, you know, which you know, and the stat guy should know from having, you know, Venables' foot up their ass for, you know, the whole time that they were there at Clemson, exactly what it's like to deal with one of these defenses. He's building the defenses the same way, right? They got PJ Adebawari. That's a 5-star, the number 4 overall ranked player in the class from last year. You know, another edge rusher that they're not sure they're going to be able to keep him off the field even as a freshman. Peyton Bowen in that safety position that, you know, he said that they were kind of weak on. Yeah. None of that stuff it's day and night difference from last year. You know,
well, see, this I think this is the stat guy's point, I guess, is what we're gonna say. This, I mean, you're giving a lot of good information, but none of this stuff is concrete because we haven't seen it on the field.
I know we haven't seen it on the field, but
so you can't talk in certainty until we see it on the field.
Well, we did see some of it on the field, and okay, let me ask you this,
before you go there. Before you go there, last year, top to bottom, Clemson's defensive roster was top 5 in the nation, but their defensive unit did not play. They were like in the 50s as far as their defense is ranked. That's the only reason. That's what I'm saying. Like, I believe that y'all have talent. Yeah, exactly. Like, I believe that y'all have like ultra talent. I mean, that's obvious by the recruiting. I'm just saying, I don't know, stat guy, you can jump in. I'm just saying, I think that's where it's at. Now, I didn't have those same expectations, but I think that's what he's saying is like, we got to see it to believe it.
My whole thing is the same thing that we're getting from y'all this year was the same story we heard going into last year.
From who?
For everybody in the comments. It was the same comments I got on the video last year. Weak schedule. Y'all picked to win the Big 12. And none of it, like I said, I think Brent Venables is Will Muschamp 2.0, and I mean that as a compliment. He's one of the greatest defensive coordinators in college football. He's a hell of a recruiter, right? But he can't win as a head coach. He's not a head coach.
Wait. He's had 1 year as a head coach, and you're saying that. And first off, Will Muschamp didn't take over the same situation that he did either. He didn't. No, he took over. He took over a Florida program that had just lost Urban, and was in a situation. I mean, we already know kind of what Urban leaves teams looking like. And then he took over at South Carolina, bro. I mean, come on. I know you like to fancy that your program is like a real SEC program, but you're not. You guys don't do nothing. You never do anything.
You're gonna find out 2024 what the SEC is like. I can promise you. I'm telling you right now, come 2024, the Gamecocks.
You can say that, but Oklahoma always competes just fine with the SEC. Okay. They always do.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
When Oklahoma comes in the conference in 2024, are they in better position to succeed than South Carolina already in?
Yep.
No way. Bro, you really
think that? Look at your recruiting numbers. Look at your recruiting numbers. Look at who you got as to who Oklahoma's going to have. And wait till you see this class.
You acting like we're not scared. We're going to have a top 12 class too. I don't care about
they might end up with the number 1 class this year. They might. They're going to get David Stone. No. They're going to get Williams Winery, and they're going to get Nigel Smith.
Now, there's two guys on this screen that
Dominic McKinley, I'm hearing maybe coming there too, and he should never leave Louisiana. But it doesn't sound like his family not cool with LSU.
Shout out to my guy C-Rob, man. He said this is great. He said he loves the shot fired on both sides. So
look,
hey,
Georgia just missed out on the 5-star safety. Just had another safety flip, and what does that do to
anything about Georgia? I'm talking about South Carolina, bro. You ain't Georgia. You are not Georgia. You know you're not Georgia.
We done lost that guy. Sound.
I know it's that guy. Your sound gone, dog.
He lost his voice.
Hey,
you gotta put some more points in the show.
Tell them about Ladorius Sellers and Michael Wright, man. Fight back.
See, we can't hear you, Stat. Yeah, we can't hear you, dog. You gotta fix your stuff. It says you.
You hit the mute button. Yeah. Go ahead.
Can you hear? Can you hear us?
Y'all got my man.
Put you backstage, man. I'll put you backstage for a little minute.
Why you do that to my man, Jason?
Hey, man, listen.
You firing shots first.
Hey,
man.
but listen, man. So we went off on the Oklahoma tangent. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there because we got some games involving Oklahoma. That's gonna be some big time games this year in my mind. But let's talk. Listen, they came out. CollegeFootballNews.com came out with a list of all 133 Division I college coaches ranked from safest to seat being the hottest. The 5 safest coaches in America. Of course, the safest coach in America, Kirby Smart.
Yeah.
The next safest coach, Nick Saban.
Yes.
The next safest coach, Brian Kelly. The next safest coach, Chris Kleiman from Kansas State. And Jim Harbaugh rounding out the 5 safest coaches in America out of 133 schools. Bruce, Kobe, like you got something to say about that?
No. I ain't got nothing to say about it. I just go ahead. Go ahead, continue.
No, hey man, this what we do. Know what you about to say?
That seems right.
That seems about right, Jason. I know Kirby and Nick are the safest.
Jim Harbaugh? I don't know about Jim Harbaugh.
Harbaugh kind of caught me too.
He just went to 2 straight playoffs.
He just went to 2 straight playoffs. He won 2 straight Big Tens, and he beat Ohio State after not beating them for 14 something. I don't know. He beat them 2 years in a row.
But listen, that's the whole thing I be trying to say, Coach. You know what I'm saying? You create your own problems. Once you get a certain taste, the same thing, the same sandwich don't taste good. You want to add a little extra cheese on it. You need the whole shebang. You get tired of eating the same thing. And trust me, I know it's good. And, and the first thing you want to say is, well, we can't fire him. Who's going to get after him?
Yeah.
That always people listen. Jim Harbaugh won Jim Harbaugh until he got a chance. You're going to get tired of eating that same sandwich. That's the same old thing. It's been going on since the beginning of coaching.
That's right. Hey, and I know what you're saying. You're saying that they've made the playoffs twice, and if this year they make the playoffs, and then they don't go, because I think Jason will attest to, after a while, like Lincoln at Oklahoma, you get tired of losing in the first round. Hey, man, but we're going to let one of my other guys, another guest, get up in here and talk about these hot seat coaches. It should be interesting. My guy, USC J, what's going on, my man?
Man, what's good, big dog? How you doing, man?
Hey, doing all right, man. USC J, this the panel, man. Jason Watkins, a Hall of Fame college football man, an Oklahoma fan, all around college football. Used to be a sports journalist and everything, man. So that's this USC J, man. Of course, he covers USC on his podcast. He's got the people going. And then you watch some of the respected hedges. Shawty, man, former UGA wide receiver and the stat guy. And then this is my guy, Kobe Orr, man. Kobe Orr from the Blitz City podcast, man. He talks HBCU all the time. And he's an Oregon fan. So
oh my God. Hey man, we was good for a minute, man. You had to do that.
So we talking about some of the safest coaches. They had a rankings on collegefootballnews.com, all 133 schools. They ranked them from safest to hottest seat. And Kirby, Nick Saban, Brian Kelly, Chris Kleiman at Kansas State, and Jim Harbaugh are the 5 safest coaches. And Shawty was saying, and Kobe, it was kind of caught off guard by Jim Harbaugh being one of the safest coaches. By the way, Lincoln Riley's number 6 on the safest coaches.
Yeah, I think Lincoln is, man. I think Jim Harbaugh, man, I think he secured his spot just with the past couple of years. You see what he did with Oklahoma. Hey, by the way, forgive me, man. I thought I was gonna be home. I'm still in traffic, man. But I think Jim Harbaugh, man, what he did the past couple of years, what was it, 2 years in a row? He beat Ohio State, man. And you do that, man, you probably put 2 years extra on your life. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I look at it with him.
Well, see, I think so too. Shawty was saying though, as far as the playoffs is concerned, they've got that early exodus the first round 2 times, and people kind of get tired of just making it. You know what I'm saying? But to your point, beating Ohio State kind of does give you money in the bank, because now on the reverse side, Ryan Day, even though he's number 7,
that's where I'm going.
Ryan Day on the other side, because, and this is just from Oklahoma, Ohio State fans on social media. They saying if Ryan Day lose to Michigan again,
it's gonna be bad business. It's gonna be bad business for him, man.
But he just played in the with the semifinals last year. That's what I'm saying.
But
you
that's
crazy. That same thing.
Grilling his ass.
It's crazy, man. I think the expectation with college football, though, man, it's just they put the stakes so high, man. It's so much of a big business. It's like, it was crazy because I was reading Ohio State, like I think it was a message board, man, and they mentioned that same thing that you alluding to right now, and they said his job was gonna basically be on the line. I'm like, dang, bro, like, he made playoffs all these years. I mean, you getting over 10 wins. You got like a top 5 recruiting class. Like, what more can you ask for? But that's where we at with it, though.
That's crazy, dog. Because I think Ryan Day been at Ohio State 4 years, right?
Yeah.
I think
he's kind of like a Lincoln Riley right now. If you want to just put it like that, as far as Lincoln Riley just going to the playoffs, and so that's kind of where he's at.
Exactly what I think. Yeah, I think he's leaking light. I think he's leaking light, man.
That's tough, boy. In 4 years, you only lose like 7 games, bro. That's a tough business right there, though.
But you
get tired of eating the same sandwich, coach.
But it's a bad conference, though, man. Outside of those 2 teams, who's good?
Going forward, though. What if he does the same thing going forward, adding Oregon, Washington, USC, and he,
I didn't say that the fans aren't crazy, but here's the thing about it. I mean, you have to definitely look at it in terms of, man, everybody wants what Georgia and Alabama have been doing, LSU too. I mean, it's one thing to get to the playoff. It's another thing to get there and not win it. And when you're not improving, when you can recruit on the level that Ohio State recruits on, and you're not getting better on defense, there's something wrong. There's something wrong. And it's the same thing that I would say about Lincoln, that you have to service the defensive side of the ball, and getting one Bear Alexander or, and a guy like, and they did bring in some guys there, but not adding coaching there, and getting rid of terrible. Y'all gonna see. The entirety of that. You've got your strength and conditioning coach that everybody calls a yoga coach in Oklahoma now. Wiley, and then you've got let me say this though. Let me say this, because most of our guys this year got bigger, man. Like I monitor this team to a T, and let me say this: Alex Grinch, he did improve from 2016, 2017 to 2018, before he got there. He improved Oklahoma's defense by 100 yards. That's a stat. That's a fact. You can go look that up. And matter of fact, Oklahoma had their worst defense ever since like 1930 something last year. And I'm saying he's not. What I'm saying. Well, I mean, everybody got it. We turned our whole roster around last year. And so my thing is like, the players we got this year, I mean, it ain't just a Bear Alexander. We got Mason Cobb from Oklahoma State. We got Anthony Lucas from Texas A&M. We got Christian Roland Wallace from Arizona. We got a lot of players, and I think it's going to say Jack Sullivan came from Purdue. Purdue played in the Big Ten championship last year against Michigan. So we got multiple people, man. I mean, are we a Georgia defense? No, I'm not going to say we know Georgia defense, but I do think we're going to compete. If we could just be a top 30 defense, we're going to the playoffs, hands down. Yeah. We was ranked 124th last year in defense. Yeah. By the way, we led the country in turnovers.
I think some of that goes to Jason, like from your point of view, you want to see it before you believe it. You feel me?
Yeah,
like
because
that's what goes on. Like, when you're a fan of a team,
same improvements. From year 1 to year 2 and stuff like that. But when you'd seen this, I mean, there was a reason Ohio State was happy to get Alex Grinch out of there, right? Yeah. They were happy to get him out.
Hey, and Auburn was happy to get Bo Nix out, and then Bo Nix went and turned up at Oregon, dog. I'm just saying.
Hey, and Bo Nix looked terrible when he was at Auburn, man. He looked terrible.
And Oklahoma wasn't good. I mean, let's just make it clear that Oklahoma was struggling on defense already whenever he got there. I'm not even saying it. I'm not even saying it's all about that. But the thing with Grinch is that speedy, it just doesn't. Well, along with it, he wants them smaller and stuff like that. You will see there's going to be differences. It's not the same. I know there's that sweet spot, but Alex Grinch is definitely going to want. Bear's probably not going to be the same size dude whenever you see him again. And I get it, they're building them up and stuff like that, but that's what they're looking at.
Can I ask you? Let me tell you this. When we played Oklahoma and we beat them 55-15 in the national championship, do you know who the defensive coordinator was?
20 freaking years ago.
Do you know who the defensive coordinator was?
Yeah, I do.
What's his name?
It'd be Venables.
Brent Venables. So, I mean, but did Brent Venables stay the same? Absolutely not.
Brent
so
Venables,
you can't.
No,
you can't expect everybody, man, to stay the same, bro. Like we got some pieces around us, man. We got a defensive analyst that came. He used to be at Alabama named Greg Brown. We got pieces around us. Now, I'm keeping receipts, man. We coming back. I'm keeping receipts.
Receipt, but
listen, man, it's talking season. Everybody's in position to win the national championship. Some of the coaches that are at the top of the list for the hot seat, Jimbo Fisher, as we all explained. But let's
talk about Jimbo, how lost to the sauce he is, man.
Listen, Jimbo Fisher, Dino Babers at Syracuse, Tom Allen at Indiana. Again, Tom Allen at Indiana. This is what I was alluding to earlier. Like the schools that, like I say, me and Shawty had this conversation all the time about schools that I don't think can win the big thing. Indiana's one of those teams. How long has Tom Allen been in Indiana? What, 6, 7 seasons? Does anybody know? And I'm like, what's putting him on the hot seat of Indiana? What Indiana think they're gonna get?
Right.
Cold. But it don't cold. What I be saying is what you gotta understand is this right here.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking metaphorically, but you get tired of eating the same thing, and you get tired of the status quo, no matter who you are. I understand that certain teams can't win it all, but my whole point is this right here. If I'm in the division, I'm in the conference, we all get a same cut of the same pie. Now, I know individually, you get money from different places, but I'm saying I get the same kind of check you get. Why I got to be the one that's at the bottom? That's all I'm saying. If you can do it, I can do it too. So they're gonna fire this guy, and guess what? The guy that they bring in, they don't expect him to do the same thing. They expect him to do better.
That's true. Like putting somebody on the hot seat again, like you got to think about this too. Like the one good player that everybody remembers from Indiana, Michael Penix Jr. He left. He went to Washington. So it's like you got it. Like I don't know. I'm looking at it like, look, man. Hey, man, we was on our way to 8-4 or whatever it was, and then we just lost the best player we got. Then you like with the conference realignment, even to throw it back there, man. Like with Oregon and Washington going to the Big Ten, does that change expectations for coaches? As it pertains to hot seats, like do they get a little bit more leeway now that USC, Oregon, Washington all gonna be in the same conference with Penn State, Michigan, Ohio State, as opposed to Oregon State? Is it the same? It's the same thought process. Like we don't want this sandwich no more. We've been eating 9 wins all this time. It's time to make the playoffs. I don't care who on the schedule.
Yeah, because the money get better. Everybody getting more money. I'm getting more money just like everybody else getting it. So that's what I'm saying. Like, why I got to be the one that's at the bottom if I'm getting 35 to 50 million, just like the team, over there that's winning or playing for the playoffs get it.
Yeah. Kobe, your expectations stay the same, even though y'all gonna have Y'all gonna have more competition. It seems like
it's staying the same for me. It's staying the same, especially for us. Like we ain't one of them bottom tier teams. We got the facilities, man. Phil giving us everything we asked for. I think we getting another new $100 million facility. It ain't no excuse. Like I don't want to hear. We got everything there is to offer a player, man. Get them in, develop them. Let's start winning games and getting back to what we was doing. That ain't no excuse for me.
Same thing for you, USCJ. Y'all going to a conference that you've been touting this whole time about how the Big Ten probably gonna be the premier conference, even though I definitely disagree with you about that. But y'all gonna have a harder schedule. So do you think
it's gonna be hard?
Y'all prepared to keep that same level of expectations and not have Lincoln on the hot seat when he can't win the Big Ten?
Man, hey, it's gonna be rough, but
he got to put some more quarters. He might be going through going through a tunnel or something.
Hey, coach.
Every guy. Go ahead, Thad.
I'm gonna say every guy on this call gonna have somewhat of the same similar sentiments. They feel like no matter what division they are in, they can compete too.
Sure. That guy, you was gonna say something?
Yeah, I think for the schools that aren't the premier powerhouses, I think it actually changes expectations for this year as far as trying to climb a little bit higher up the ladder and get yourself in a better position going into all the realignment stuff. And that's maybe why you're seeing the Indianas and the Syracuses being like, yo, you got this year or you're out.
Wisconsin.
Yeah, Wisconsin. I got you. Because like if you can't get it done, like it's not gonna get any better. It's not gonna get any better with all the conference realignment. So that might add some pressure. And I guess Jason, I don't think Oklahoma's going 7-5, but 7-5, 8-4, like going into the SEC, I think that goes to what Shawty said, be in position to be successful in the SEC. You definitely, because y'all schedule ain't as easy as Georgia's, but just looking at the schedule, it might be the next easiest. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I'm sorry. Oklahoma, this year's Oklahoma schedule is cake. Yeah, because of the fact that you're not playing Georgia. I mean, that game got pulled. We talked about that. Yep. But look, you got to look at 3 of those losses, and they had 5 losses by a score or less last year. I mean, we're talking about a situation. I mean, 4 of them were by 3 points, and this was with having the worst defense. I think it was right. It was right about the same as what SC's was essentially.
Yeah.
Right.
We didn't get blown up by Texas 45-0 or 50-0
I knew that was coming.
Hey, hold on for a second. Hold on, bro. Hey, let me tell you this. We lost to Utah. We lost to Utah by 3 points at Utah, and then we lost.
They spanked y'all in the Pac-12 championship.
Caleb got hurt, but what was the score was like? The score was 20. The score was 24, I think, to 40 something. But my thing is, you talking about a straight up blowout, man. We didn't get blowout this year. That was a blowout at Texas.
Yeah, it was. You're right, and they didn't have their quarterback either because their 2 5-star quarterbacks left with Lincoln. Either one went with Lincoln, the other one went to Stat Guy's team. So they had to bring in a new guy. He got hurt in the TCU game. A tight end took most of the snaps in the freaking Red River game, bro. So it is what it is, but they've also beaten Texas 7 out of 10 times. They've beaten Texas 7 out of 10. When Texas actually does something, then I'll hear about their back, okay? Because they always recruit at the top, and they never do shit. They recruited at the top for the last 2 years, and they still went 8-5 last year.
Okay, I agree with you on that. I don't think they always put Texas in the top 10 every year. They've been recruiting very well. I don't understand why they put them up there like that. And even they got beat up on by Washington in the bowl game last year. This year.
So listen, so Jason must have been reading my mind because he's talking about Texas, and the next topic is the pretenders in 2023. There's a lot of teams right now. Listen, we in the talking season. Everybody's undefeated. Everybody got these roster upgrades that they think gonna help, but we already know some of the contenders, and we're gonna get to the contenders out here in a minute. But who are the pretenders when we talking about trying to win it all? Who are the pretenders? You know what I'm saying this year, Kobe. You got something on that?
I say Tennessee.
Okay.
I'm gonna go Tennessee for the simple fact that we're hyping them up because Joe, who has gotten his starting job taken twice in his career, can throw a football really far. So all of a sudden it's like, oh, they're national title contenders. They're not. Okay, I'm not putting no more stock in this kid. He can throw a football really far. Great, but what else? Can he get the ball there accurately? Can he make great decisions? He's shown that he couldn't do that consistently throughout his college career. I'm not buying Tennessee, man. Like, is everybody hyping him up? I'm not with him.
All right, Tennessee in the pretender category. Stat guy, who's in the pretender category, dog? Like, the people talking about Mike. We talking about national championship pretender. We ain't talking about pretender just, they supposed to be good, but we talking about people that's expecting or talking about winning a national championship, but it's overhyped.
You already know where I'm going with this. I'm going with them dirty taters from the upstate. Hey, I called it 2 years ago. They falling off the mountain, and it's going to be a joy to watch. And I'm gonna enjoy watching every second of it. But
why the pretend? You got to tell me, like Kobe said, and he pointed out some good points that Joe Milton had lost his starting job. What he say? 2 schools is like so. Why are you saying you can't just like don't let the game in and you?
I got you. So the thing is, DJU gets a lot of hate, and we're gonna see what he's about this year at Oregon State. But Clemson hasn't fixed their issue at wide receiver. They still have a huge issue with depth and performance with wide receiver. Same thing. They talk about their defense, but their defense, while they have guys, they don't have the overall depth in that front seven that they've had in the past, and so they're not elite. And so they can't just ride the coattails of a defense to the national championship or to the playoffs anymore. And now the biggest fear is they have a formidable team standing in the way in Florida State.
Yeah.
So we got Tennessee and Clemson so far put in the pretenders. USCJ, man, who a pretender, dog? Like we talking about teams that, who
I kind of agree with Stat Guy for the simple fact. Now I know that they got a new offensive coordinator, Riley, coming from Tennessee, from TCU. But I just don't think, like he's alluded to talking about the depth. I don't think they really have the depth like that. And Dabo is one of those dudes. I think every guy represented on here, their team, whether it's Georgia, Oregon, whoever, most teams dipped in the transfer portal, man. Dabo refuses. I don't know what the deal is, but he just refused to use the transfer portal. And I'm not saying that we want to use that as the main means for recruiting, but the time that we're living in now, these dudes are getting mature, experienced players right now, and they come into to these teams, man, adding instant impact. And I think Dabo is getting lost in the sauce, not using the transfer portal, man. And I think all these other teams that are around him, Florida State, they got Coleman, man, that came from Michigan State. They got another big time defensive end that came from I want to say Western Michigan or Central Michigan, Fisk. They got some players at Florida State right now. I think Florida State is gonna wipe them off of the earth this year, man. That's my opinion.
I'm not gonna say I disagree with y'all, but that goes back to a point that's been brought up a couple of times by me. We got to see it. Florida State has lost to Clemson 8 times in a row. I got to see it before they do it. Jason, who's a pretender, man? We got 2 votes for Clemson and a vote for Tennessee. Who's the pretender, dog?
I could definitely understand why people say that about Tennessee, but I think that I know there's been people talking. I mean, you have USC in that top 6. I don't got that. I'm going to tell you now. I don't see USC getting to the playoff. I think they go 8-4 because they're not going to be that much better. And if you look at the last half of their schedule, and it's aside from the Cal game, it's week after week. They didn't have to deal with Oregon last year. They didn't have to deal with Washington last year. They get both of them at the end of the season. They get Utah again. They still got to prove that they can beat Utah because they have it, right? And then even the UCLA game, that was a 1-point game. That was a 1-point game a year ago. So there's another opportunity for a loss there. And then Notre Dame I think that Notre Dame is going to be, they're battle tested. They've stuck with SC for a long time without a quarterback. Now you got Sam Hartman coming in. I think that that's another opportunity for a loss. I think that they don't necessarily lose them all, but I think to me their ceiling is 9-3 because I've seen this movie before, and I know that Lincoln Riley is going to not get bigger and better. They're going to get a little better on offense, and they still have Caleb Williams, which makes up for a lot. But when it comes down to it, you ain't winning no championship like that. You're just not doing it.
There's a vote for USC. All right, before we move to the next vote, USC Jay, I'll give you a chance to rebuttal that, dog.
Man, every team we beat Notre Dame last year. We beat UCLA. Two of the outstanding teams last year. I mean, he wants to pick the teams that we beat. I don't even have a rebuttal, man. Just make sure we do a show. Make sure we do a show, and we'll come back. You know, we keeping receipts, man. We keeping receipts.
You can even come on my show and bring them receipts with you, bro. No worries.
I'm coming. Yeah, I'll definitely come on your show, man. It'd be an honor.
All right, Shawty, man, we got a vote for Tennessee, 2 votes for Clemson, and a vote for USC as pretenders. Who is your vote for a pretender this season in college football?
Man, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm gonna say this right here, man. Stink guy in USCJ, man, they kind of took all my thunder. They said exactly what I was gonna say, but ironically, I got to be in Florida State. I think Florida State is a team that this may be their year to beat Clemson, but I'm going to tell you what, once you get into that Final Four, they're going to find out that they're not elite.
But if they make the playoffs, they're not a pretender. If they make the playoffs,
I thought the question was to win a national championship.
Win a national championship. That's what we said.
Man,
you got to get to the playoff to have a shot at the national title, though.
You got to win your conference to have a shot at it. It's the chicken before the egg. How far you want to go down the record hole?
But you said you thought they were going to beat Clemson. If they beat Clemson,
but they got to beat Clemson twice. They have to beat Clemson twice.
And all I said was this was be a year that it may be better than Clemson. Their program has elevated to a point now that they're better than Clemson, which Clemson has kind of been stagnant, or their trajectory has been going down. But I'm just saying, for Florida State, thinking that they're a national championship type of team, there's levels to this. Ask TCU.
So, listen, man.
I have another vote and put Texas on that, too.
Well, I thought that's where you was going to go, Jason,
where I was
because
go
they're actually picked to win the Big 12 like this year, and they're saying if they go to Alabama, beat Alabama, then they're listen. I'm just telling you what
happened though. Who believes that's going to happen?
I'm gonna be honest with you, dog. I'm not so sure because listen, the quarterback position, man, at Alabama has been so. I'm not saying for every team.
If they were playing Malik Murphy, I would tell you that you're probably right that they're gonna go in there and win it. But they're not playing Malik. Quinn's gonna be in the game.
Okay, so let's go by what we saw last year. Me and my guy, we in Austin for Texas, Alabama. Quinn Ewers is lighting Alabama up for the first quarter until he got hurt. Listen, I can only talk about what I saw.
Sure. And I'm not saying that Quinn's bad either, coach.
So for 3 quarters without Quinn, Texas went toe-to-toe with Bama, and Bryce Young had to do some Heisman-like things in the last 2 drives to get that win. So this is what, and then Shawty, kudos to Shawty last year. Shawty said going into the season, Alabama would have the best player on offense and the best player on defense in every matchup that they had in 2022. And I think all of us on this call would agree that Alabama has a top 3 roster when you're looking at it, right? So now you got a top 3 roster. You had Bryce Young.
The most important position. You talking about this year?
No. So I'm just saying on the regular. So top 3 roster, best offensive player in every game, best defensive player in every game, and they still lost games that they should not have lost and played some close games that Texas A&M played them close. So all I'm saying is Texas, I don't think they're national championship caliber. I don't. Okay. But I do think they're better than last year. And they're going into Alabama. Now Alabama does not have the best player on offense. They do not have the best player on defense.
I'll give you that. But what I would tell you is that this same Texas team, and first off, let me just say one thing. 7 wins Sark, number 1. Okay.
I got you. Go Dogs, Mike Free.
7 wins Sark. They go and they are at what is it? At Oklahoma State, they're up 17 at the end of the 3rd quarter, and they can't freaking hold on to win that game. Same thing with Texas Tech. They're up big in that game. Now, Bijan put the ball on the ground there. Surprised me. Now, they did, and Quinn didn't play. But Hudson Card played pretty well for him during that time. They shouldn't have lost that game, man.
And I agree with you. I think Malik Murphy is the best quarterback on the roster.
I think Quinn is he's an NFL arm. He's an NFL quarterback.
Yeah.
But he ain't a transformer. And that's what that other cat is, man. Malik is a freaking transfer. He's like, to me, you think about Vince Young, 2.0, man. That's what he is. He's big, 6'5", 220, 230. It's a monster, big arm and speed. Look, as an Oklahoma fan, I don't want to see that dude on the field. I don't.
I got you. You got another vote for Tennessee coming from the comments. My guy C-Rob for pretender. But I agree. Like I say, I don't think Texas is winning the national championship. I think it's a closer possibility going into the game than it was going into the game last year, that people think Texas has a chance to beat Alabama. I'm kind of with Shawty on the pretender. I think Florida State is better. I do. But I think some of the hype is that they beat some teams last year. Cool. But they lost to Wake Forest, NC State, and Clemson, the three best ACC teams on their schedule. So Wake Forest always gives them trouble. Clemson, they haven't beat in 8 years. And NC State, they go like back and forth. So I want to see them beat them before I can say, oh, well, these are the teams we think can win the national championship. Like maybe they can beat Clemson, maybe they can. I don't know. Again, until I see it. That's my vote. So we have Florida State, Tennessee, Clemson, and a vote for Texas as some pretenders. Let's talk about some actual contenders, though. Some actual contenders. I mean, me and Shawty, we Georgia Bulldogs. I think that goes without saying that. So we don't even need to really go there. Is there a team out there, USCJ, that people are overlooking or sleeping on? Not sleeping on, but like really is a contender this year?
Man, I kind of we touched on it when we talked about Clemson. I just thought it was Florida State. Just they opened up last year against LSU. Man, that quarterback Jordan Travis. Man, I seen what he was it Oklahoma. They played Oklahoma in the bowl game. Was it Oklahoma?
Yeah, and Oklahoma gave them all they want without half their team.
You said Oklahoma didn't have half their team?
They had a lot of people out for the bowl game.
We can't make no shit. We had a lot of people too, though. We had a lot of people too, man. We had linebackers. A lot of guys hit the portal though. But I'm just saying. I mean, they played good against LSU and they played good against Oklahoma. But they just, to me, that quarterback, I think he's gonna get better. I think he's a good quarterback, and I'm just impressed with what they're doing overall. Period within the program. So I would think Florida State is a legit contender. Of course, I think USC is going to be year two. Anybody that's played football, especially even if you played in college, some year two in the system, man. I mean, I just think you're going to be a little bit better. You can't be any worse than where we were. So I think for sure we're going to be a contender. I think, and I wonder though about Alabama though, as far as the quarterback situation. I heard reports with them coming out of the camp that the quarterback situation is looking real shaky right now, but we'll see what happens with that.
All right, Kobe, who's your contender, dog? I mean, we got, of course, like I say, Georgia is like, we don't need to go over that.
Yeah, I mean, they speak for themselves.
I'm gonna go LSU. Because Jaden Daniels is just that kid. I still have nightmares from what he did to us his freshman year. Okay, like I still have nightmares about that game. I always was a fan of him ever since that game. I love what he's brought to LSU, and then they got Karen Perkins on the other side of that football. I mean, LSU could really be a team that nobody's talking about that could easily end up in the national championship. Well, I'm not gonna say easily, but they can end up in the national championship. Plus, when have you not known LSU to have great athletes, whether it be a DB or wide receiver? I just think LSU could really be. They really are a contender going into this season. And I had a few schools, that I would have said like Penn State or Washington because of Michael Penix. But for me, man, it's LSU.
So what about, come on, dog, no love for the Ducks. They don't open up with Georgia this year, dog.
Listen, we still got some questions. That
was a low blow, man.
No, man, Kevin, my guy. I actually really like Oregon, dog. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think Oregon, Bo Nix wasn't anything in the SEC. I didn't think he was going to be good at Oregon. He definitely proved me wrong. Y'all bring a lot of pieces back. I think the old line is maybe a question there, but
it is a question. Yeah.
No love for the Ducks, dog.
Nah, like it's because defensively,
Y'all just got Jordan Birch. What else would you want? You just got Jordan Birch.
And your head coach is a
Noah.
defensive guy.
You lose Noah. Justin Flo couldn't stay healthy even if he was still with us. You know, we lost Christian Gonzalez. I need to defensively. I got to see right now.
Dan Lanning learned under the best.
Oh yeah, but that Texas Tech game, man, I think that's a trap game from Oregon, though, man.
But this is the thing, though. Okay, let's say that's a trap game, man. But like, you know, if they win the Pac-12 with a one loss, like that's playoff.
Yeah, oh yeah, no doubt.
What you was about to say, Shawty?
No, I'm just, I'm just kind of baffled at that. You know, he's saying that, defensively. Hold on. I mean, your head coach is a defensive guy. I mean, most good teams take on
that field and play.
No, but what I'm getting at is most good teams take on the personality of their head coach. So that means even in recruiting and everything you do, defense would be a priority.
Yeah. So I think that's the thing. I think I get what you're saying about, because we do say you got to have the Jimmys and Joes, but if Dan Lanning is who we think he is, who he was at Alabama as an assistant under Kirby Smart as the defensive coordinator, even though you don't have the Christian Gonzalez, I'm going to tell you right this. Coming into the year, I was high on Justin Flo. I watched Justin Flo play. You ain't missing nothing, Kobe. Like, that dude is a personal foul waiting to happen. He doesn't have any self-control. Like, the dog, he's just out trying to make the big hit, and he misses a lot of stuff. Noah Sewell was way better. Now that's a loss. But to Shawty's point is, Dan Lanning can get that next guy ready. You know what I'm saying? The guy that was already on the staff, on the roster that might have been a 4-star. We done forgot about him, but that's what those defensive guys do. Is like they keep the defensive guys coming and coming and coming. And you're like, man, who was this safety? I forgot about this guy. I forgot about that guy. That's all I'm saying, man. Y'all bring back a lot of talent on the offensive side. I just thought you might show
offensively we straight. It's just, the defense, especially with the quarterback play in the Pac-12.
Oh, yeah, it's gonna be bananas
this next year. I mean,
it's gonna be crazy.
We got to be on it. The quarterback play is damn good in the Pac-12 right now.
So that's saying y'all don't have the Jimmys and Joes then, because what I'm saying is schematically, from a discipline standpoint, y'all should be able to play solid football because of who your head coach is.
Yeah. So he's like, yeah. So you basically worried about, because you did roll off a lot of names. You worried about the Jimmys and Joes, and the depth is what you worried about. You don't doubt Dan Lanning. You just saying that he might.
Yeah, because I don't doubt Dan Lanning, but it's can the guys on the field. I'm just hoping that he can get them to make the play when it's time to be made. Versus Caleb Williams, versus a Michael Penix.
You still got some Mario Cristobal PTSD, Kobe?
A little bit, man.
Stat guy, contender, man. Give us a contender, dog.
So Kobe did say it, but I'm rocking with Penn State. I like the two-headed mutts in the backfield. I think Singleton is that dude. Look, man, anybody that can win 9 games at Vanderbilt, they can eventually get over the hump. And I think this is the year that we finally see him get over the hump. With that said, if he doesn't, I think we see his name on the hot seat in 2024. If Penn State doesn't make the playoffs this year, I think we see his name on the hot seat.
It's kind of their best chance to do it, right, Stat Guy? I mean, it's like
but those running backs come back another year. But I get it, like that says, if people get tired of winning, 10-2 and always losing to Ohio State, Michigan. So I think if they don't make it and they beat one of those teams, I think he good.
Yeah. But I think if they beat one of those teams, they should only have one loss and they should be able to backdoor their way in. I think if they beat one of them, they're going to find themselves into the playoffs. I also think there's more stock in making the playoff in the 4-team format for those that haven't made it versus it going to 12 teams next year. And then you're like, oh, we made the playoffs. Yeah, after they expanded it to 12 teams so you could backdoor your way in the playoffs. Like, I think we're seeing
way to discount what you do, man. I get it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you're saying if James Franklin make it this year, it definitely means more because there's only 4 spots. Whereas if he doesn't make it, all offseason is going to talk about getting over the hump. And then 12 teams like, oh, I made the playoffs, dog. Like, yeah, when they added 8 more spots. Then
right.
But it's still 133 Division I schools, dog. I'm not saying that it shouldn't be discounted or held at a lesser level. I'm just saying it's still only 12 spots.
Yeah, but they finished top 10 last year, so you know what I'm saying, they should make it at 12 teams. That's why I think they're going to look at that and be like, yeah, I'm glad you made it, or we'd have put the gun to your head. I mean, like, they don't make the 12-team playoff.
Didn't they just give him a new contract, though? Didn't they?
See, that's what I thought. Like, he got a new contract. That's another thing, Kobe. I meant to say, Dan Lennon got an extension already, dog.
Yeah, you know, I love it. Like, it's not Dan Lennon and I don't believe it. It's the guys, man, that we got. I need to see it. That doesn't mean my opinion can't change. I got
it. Yeah.
You just got Jordan Birch. Because you won't.
Man, Jordan Birch didn't do nothing in Columbia, man. He's a depth player. That's what he is. I don't know. Maybe a change of scenery. Dan Lennon wanted him hard when he was at Georgia coming out of high school. So maybe now that Dan got his hands on him, it might make him an elite guy. Did everybody get a chance to get in with a contender? What's up?
I got one. And I ain't trying to call no extra fireworks between Jason and USCJ, but I really think USC got a great shot at it. And the reason I'm gonna say it is because of this is right here is kind of what I've been alluding to, you know, all conversations, because I really just think Lincoln Riley, the guy, he's more the guy for USC than he was for Oklahoma. And what I mean by that, when you get the right guy in, everything else, meaning resources, facilities, and players, they come.
Yeah.
And with the way that conference is right now, is right for the taking. And he's going to have the best quarterback on the field every time they play. And in college football, I'm generally going to go with who got the best quarterback on the field. And Lincoln Riley has been able to turn over their roster dramatically. And a place like that is going to show exponentially in terms of wins and losses. So just Jason, as a long shot, I'm just going with them, you know?
Yeah, so Jason, to that point, when Shawty say he's more the guy for USC than he was for Oklahoma, do you think, like, one of the biggest problems when he was in Norman was defense? You know what I'm saying? Not getting those trench guys. Do you? But this is the thing. So NIL is still fairly new, right? He didn't get a chance to have the whole NIL when he was in Norman. Now he has the NIL. And I'm not saying he makes a difference. Not for nothing. We thought Bear was going to start on our defensive line, and he cannot do it.
He didn't have the beach either.
He didn't have the beach either. Well, here's what I'll say, though, is that he wasn't recruiting elite talent at OU. And he's still really not when you look at it. I mean, OU got the number one running back in the country just a couple of weeks ago. They did, not him.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that are in line to get this elite defensive line talent too, and have gotten more of it through the portal. Now, Bear was probably the biggest pickup. I mean, I think
for sure,
likely everybody felt like he was the guy to go get.
Yeah.
But I mean, they
see that's where NIL came into play, and I'm saying with NIL, you don't think over time,
of course. And that's one thing I will give you that is that Lincoln is very good with the transfer portal. He was very good with the transfer portal before he left there. Okay,
yeah,
he knows what he's doing with the portal. I'm not saying that, but recruiting wise, and here's the other thing. And we hadn't talked a whole lot about any of this kind of stuff either. But how important is it to have that culture is, you know, with the way that Venables recruits is on culture and, you know, relationship building, that kind of stuff. Yeah, they're going to dump some money in there because part of it is going to be about money. You know, it's always going to be about money, right? But I don't even think that they attempted to get Bear. I don't even think there was an attempt, you know, because he said it a few times. He said it in The Athletic. He says it all the freaking time, is that if you get drama in recruiting, it's going to be drama in the locker room. Drama. I'm not dealing with it, right? And I'm always of the opinion, though, and Shawty, you're probably going to back me up on this one. You got to have a couple of crazy dudes in your locker room, right? You need a couple of them criminals, especially on defense, right? And that's where I'm
on the defense.
Yeah. I mean, I'm good with that to win a championship. I would think.
Okay.
And Oklahoma's had those dudes. You know what I mean? They've had them in the past. So, but to me, I don't know. I feel like the problem at SC is always going to be about defense, and like the other problem that we talked about this, and like the last dude that I got into it with from SC about was the whole special teams thing. They don't even practice it, man. And yet they got it, like the Tulane game. You think about that. Mario Williams hadn't caught a freaking punt in his entirety of a college career, and they sent him back there at that time, when that's the time you can't afford to have a fumble, have a mishap. The game against Georgia in the Rose Bowl, they don't practice freaking special teams, and we're kicking squib kicks instead of just doing what you normally do. And not saying that changed. It did change the complexity of the game. Takes his foot off the gas there. The thing about Lincoln is that if you can get close in the game with him, there's a chance that he's going to make a mistake. And look, I'm not saying that he can never do it, but he's got to change the way he is. And I don't really see that he does that. That's why I don't feel like he's a real contender for the championship. It's not because offensively, the dude can.
He's always going to be good. Yeah, he's always going to be good. So, Jay, can you speak to the special team? Because I know you and the people around you have had access to practice and things of that nature. So, like, there was a big conversation that I was in on Jason's show and stuff like that about Lincoln not having a special teams coach.
Yeah,
and not having a special teams coach. When we talking about beating the elite talents, not the regular games, beating the elite teams, that could be a problem. And I did tell Jason that, not for nothing, Georgia doesn't have a dedicated special teams coach. We have a kicker, place kicking coach in Kevin Butler, one of the greatest, but other coaches share the rest of the special teams duties.
Do they practice it, Coach I?
Oh, yeah. Well, now we practice it, but no.
We just made one of the most important special team calls in the history of college football.
We practice it. But that's what Jason was saying. Jason was saying at Oklahoma, and to what we believe, that Lincoln doesn't practice a lot special teams, and he doesn't have a special teams coordinator. Like, you got any update or any additional information?
I mean, he practices it, but he doesn't have a coordinator, which he probably should have a coordinator. I mean, Mario Williams, that situation with the Tulane game, that's a whole nother story, though. I mean, you up all those points and then allow them to come back. We shouldn't even been put in a special team situation. But I mean, Mario Williams, I have no idea that whole situation was. But that's
weird, right?
Just an elementary play, though. Really, I mean, we learned that in Pop Warner. I mean, it's certain things. I don't even really attribute that to Lincoln Riley at that point. I attribute more so the Mario Williams. That's just
that comes with what Jason was talking about, like practicing it. Like, so even in Pop Warner Little League, you practice special teams. So, like, you might not do it a lot.
I think he played. He's from Florida. Florida. I mean, they know their football, but I mean, you just can't do that. I mean, if nobody told you not, you should know that you just can't do that. But to your point and to Jason's point, we probably do, because somewhere down the line, we it could come back to bite.
And the reason I brought it up was one of the last things that was asked to him in his last press conference at Oklahoma. It had become an issue in Norman, and a lot of the media were asking him about it for 2 years. But that was the very last question in that press conference was, have you given any thought to hiring a special teams coach? And it was an emphatic hell no, and he had been, I mean, emphatic about it. Now, it was coming right off of the I'm not going to LSU thing too, which was, it was.
Well, let me say, I'm going to say this. And really, it wasn't until Lincoln Riley became the coach. I haven't heard so much negative stuff about Lincoln Riley until after he became the USC coach. Where was all the smoke when everybody else?
We didn't know about it.
I just feel like y'all kind of salty to keep it 100, man. I mean, I'm just keeping it 100, bro. Like,
listen. I personally think some, not all Oklahoma fans, but some are still.
I didn't even hear
they feel bad about the way that he left and how he did something.
And I get
the biggest part of reason that most people are, and I can tell you that I'm happy with Brent Venables, and I think that most of the fan base is.
Hey, you really happy with me? Are you?
Yeah. Absolutely. He's not recruiting your boy, bro. He's not recruiting your boy. He's not recruiting your boy.
We're gonna do this, man.
He's not recruiting your boy right now, bro. He's not recruiting him.
All right, let's do this. Let's do this.
All right, hey.
All right, let's do this. Let's do this. Kobe,
Let me just tell you why anybody.
Hold on, Jason. Hold on, Jason.
Are they ranked higher than us in recruiting right now?
Hold on. So Kobe, how you feel about Brent Venables at OU? Future wise, like he's the guy we waiting seeing. He's not the guy.
I think we waiting to see him. You know, I don't think it's a definitive answer right now. Give him a little bit more time.
I got you, Shouty.
There's no definitive answer right now.
Shouty, we waiting to see he the guy or he not the guy.
Well, you know, all you gotta do is go back and check the tapes. I already told you in 3 years he's gonna be somebody else defensive coordinator.
And it's no disrespect, man. It's no disrespect.
Right.
He just looks lost.
All right.
He's not the guy.
All right, we'll start with you. You, Shawty. Same thing. You already said you think Lincoln Riley is the guy at USC. So, Kobe, same question. Do you think Lincoln Riley's the guy, not the guy? Wait and see.
I think he's the guy. I think everything about him fits that program. Like even his personality, right? Like he fits USC to the T. I think, you know,
Hollywood.
Yeah, just Hollywood. You know, like I just see him in USC together. I think he's the guy. I'm not.
All these receipts I get to collect for the end of this year. Look at this.
So, stat guy, is Lincoln Riley the guy? He talked this comment. Adela, she said, "Fill the stadium in the back of the picture, which in the background in the fake is fake. The field stadium is fake in the background." Talking about USC in your dreams. Ooh, so
shots.
All right, so stat
we
guy,
had 11 wins, so we good. Yeah, keep the
is Lincoln Riley the guy at SC? Is he not the guy? Or are we still waiting to see if he's no more than what he was at Oklahoma?
Nah, he's a head coach, but I don't think he's ever the guy anywhere. I think Lincoln Riley's always going to look out for Lincoln Riley and is always going to chase the bag and chase the next big thing, whether he wins a natty or not somewhere. Lincoln Riley's always going to look out for himself. So I don't think with that you can ever be the guy somewhere. We're not going to see him have a 10 or 15-year career coaching at any one school.
You think if he have another like 11-1, 10-2, make the playoffs, let's say they lose first round, but then the NFL come calling, you think he like that type of coach might be out to the because as far as college jobs and money and situation, I'm not saying there's not better teams. I'm saying a situation. I don't know where he would go.
Yeah, he's got a $100 million deal. It's a great deal.
Exactly. Like I don't know where he would go. So you saying like more like NFL, like
yeah,
that.
I mean NFL.
When are you supposed to turn down a better deal in life?
Maybe Oklahoma will actually open up their purse this time and offer him more money, and he can go back there and coach again.
Yeah, right. That'll never happen, bro.
Well, I guess what he's saying though, like not just better deal. Like I don't think Kirby's just rolling out for more money all of a sudden. Like I think like Coach K turned down better deals as far as money.
They got natties under their belt. You know what I mean? I get what you're saying. Saying, but he's not the guy like maybe for a loan. I mean, I get it, but you know, we might don't need you to be there that long. You know what I'm saying?
That could be, man.
Invested in him. They want him to stay, I would think.
So not necessarily national titles. Moving on to the next one, sleepers. Like somebody that might be a sleeper program that could be in the next 2 to 3 years and be on that national scene. Kobe, who you got on that? I know you said Penn State this year is a contender, but they haven't done it yet. So, you know, in some people's mind, that could be a sleeper, but Florida State or whatever. So, like, well, who you got as a sleeper, Kobe?
I haven't even thought about sleepers, honestly.
It's either the haves or the have-not, huh?
Yeah, honestly, like, I think that's really what it is. It's either you have it or you don't. I don't really see anybody sneaking up in the next 3 to 4 years and becoming that. Because
TCU definitely was a sleeper last year. They was like picked to win. They was picked to come in like 7 to 8.
They was dead, man.
Picked to win, be like 19 to win, bro.
Yeah, it's an anomaly.
Yeah.
You know, like I also think, TCU was just an anomaly, man. Like I don't see that happening.
They just took advantage of playing in a crash conference.
Oh God! All right, Jason, who do you think is like a sleeper dog? Maybe not this year, but in the next 2 to 3 years, man, we could see them try to come up, you know, and be on that national title list, contender list.
I think it's going to be Oklahoma. I know that it's going to be in the next 2 or 3 years, but they are recruiting like that. They had a top 5 recruiting class last season. They salvaged a top 10 recruiting class the year before. They've got pipelines opened up into Florida, which is where you have to go get some of those kids. The speed state, we've talked about that. They're recruiting in the trenches the way that you want to. And they got Jackson Arnold, who's a 5-star Gatorade Player of the Year, who's going to be coming in. They've got a guy coming in. They've got 2 quarterbacks coming in behind him in Jeff Lebby's offense, who everybody knows is one of the best coordinators in the country as well. You know, the number one of the top running back rooms in the country, without a doubt. When you add in Taylor Tatum, you add in some of the guys that they've brought in already, and Gavin Sawchuk. I mean, if you saw that game against Florida State last year, Gavin Sawchuk, he got opening, he gone. And they're deep in that. They're going to be deep at all those positions that you have to be deep at on defense. They're still again, if they end up with this recruiting class that it looks like they're still in on David Stone, Williams Nwaneri. They've been, both of those guys are crystal ball to go. They're in the top 10 in the country on the defensive line. Then you've got Nigel Smith, who's a top 100 guy. I think he's even kind of underrated. Another defensive line guy, right? Then you've got Dominic McKinley. That would be gravy for sure. But everything we're hearing is it's between Texas and OU for this guy. Yeah. You know, it's everything we're hearing, because apparently they did something down there to piss off his mama at LSU. I don't know what it was.
You don't piss off mama.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. But they did something to piss off his mama at LSU. So from what I'm hearing I've got a friend in NOLA, and he's like, man, he ain't going to LSU.
Okay. So Oklahoma next 2 to 3 years. I think the first year in the SEC, you're gonna have to get your feet underneath you. You know what I mean? I think that if they can go in and they can go 8-9 wins, or even 8 wins, would be probably gravy. And that's your first year with Jackson too. So I'm saying, that I think it's their first year to win it would be like 25. I think that's their year, right?
Hey, I meant to ask, because you said y'all had the number 1 running back in the country. Is that Richard Young out of Florida?
Taylor Tatum.
No. He's talking about in 2024 class.
Okay. 2024 class. Yeah.
24 class. All right, stat guy, give us a sleeper. Not talking about this year. We've already named the contenders. We talking about like the next 2 to 3 years, dog.
Yeah, I'm jumping on that. I'm jumping on that 2025 train. Go ahead and place your bets now. They're going to be in the playoffs. Them South Carolina Gamecocks, led by Lenore Sellers. And just so you know, he will be in New York that year as well.
South Carolina recruiting. They recruiting real well right now, man.
There is a lot of buzz down there. The problem is, like, listen, man, like when you talking about winning the national championship first, yes, you do have to have Jimmys and Joes. You got to have coaches. You got to have the right situation. And it's just not a great it's just not a great situation for South Carolina, because they don't have to play Georgia next year, but I mean, all roads still lead through Alabama and Georgia.
Yeah, but you got 12-team playoff. There's gonna be 4 or 5 teams from the SEC that gets in. Money.
But we talking about winning the whole thing. Like, you in it, but you still got to beat the Michigans, Ohio States, and
we could probably beat Michigan this year. They don't want to come to South Carolina and play us in Willie B. Light them up.
Oh my!
I ain't scared of nobody from the trash.
Hey, stat guy, I'm in South Carolina too, man. Where you at in South Carolina, bro?
We in the 864.
We're in the upstate, man. Me, you, Jay, and stat guy in South Carolina, dog. I think Jason, you out in Vegas, right?
No, I'm actually out around Lubbock, Texas right now. In New Mexico.
Oh man, you out there giving horns down to everybody.
Throwing them, man. Yeah. So we cover OU and stuff, but then we also cover the Big 12 really right now. And then but we being so close to Tech, we're covering them too. Look, that's Joey McGuire's doing some things too, man. I think that guy.
Texas Tech is my sleeper, dog. Like,
they're a good sleeper for the.
Yeah, especially with y'all leaving the Big 12, like Stat Guy talked about with those 12-team playoffs. Big 12 still there. Then all Texas Tech got to do really is beat the TCUs, the Utahs, and possibly the Colorados if they get it together. That's my sleeper team. So go ahead, Stat.
Is the Big 12 gonna get a free invite?
If the conference champion.
That's why I'm saying, are we sure the conference champion they're still going to let the conference champion in?
If they consider them if they're going to treat all of the conferences, if you've got a power 3, if that's how they end up being, right, they're going to treat them all the same. I think they all get the same amount of invites.
All right, Stad, let us hear you shaking your head, though.
It doesn't mean the committee's going to vote the same amount of teams in on an at-large basis, because I think that it's clear that they favor the SEC there, right?
Yeah.
And they should.
Yeah, the SEC and the Big Ten are going to get the majority of the 12 team.
But I'm talking about auto bids. Auto bids are going to be the same amount for every conference.
What was you going to say, Sean?
Power conference.
Well, no, I'm kind of piggyback off what a lot of the guys have already said, but I look at it like this right here. I don't necessarily have a sleeper with the way that football is going with the 12-team college playoff. I don't think there's going to be a sleeper because you're going to have 12 teams, and just to be honest, in that particular situation, the rich only get richer. There's no such thing as leveling the playing field. I don't care how many slots we have. It's going to still be the same 4 teams that's going to really vie for it anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
At the end of the day, even after the 12 team, once it boils down to that Final Four, it's still going to be the same.
Yeah, you can put 16 in there if you want to. You know what I'm saying? I don't care how many conferences come, because they're going to all cannibalize each other anyway. The cream always rises to the top. So it's going to always be the same 4, possibly 5 teams vie for it anyway. So anybody on this call, if any one of us were to make it, to the Final Four, it really wouldn't be a surprise, other than what Stat guy said, South Carolina. That wouldn't be a sleeper. That'd be more like a coma or hibernation or something if they made it. You know what I'm saying? So, but I agree with all y'all guys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, hey, man, so just getting back to the 2023 season, man, there's a lot of good games before this conference, all this movement and stuff. So, Jay, man, what games you looking forward to this year, man? Like, we talking about, like, big-time heavy hitters. I know on my list I got about 20 that I'm looking forward to. But
man,
I'm
looking for a lot, man. That Texas Alabama game, man, that's a big-time game. I'm looking for that. I'm looking for of course, a couple games that Notre Dame played, but then I want to see that Texas Tech versus Oregon, man. I'm just curious to see how that's going to play out, man. Just given the fact that even my man on here, he talked about some of the things that Oregon had issues with, man. I'm just kind of wondering how that's going to play out, being that it's so early in the system. So that game, and then of course Florida State, LSU, man, that's going to determine a lot. There's some games that's going to determine a lot at the beginning of the season. And so those are just a couple of games that I highlighted, man. Of course, our games, am I saying I'm just looking for it? I'm not gonna say I'm just looking for it, but we know we got to go through it. You know what I mean? So
you got to go through it. You want to get on the other side, though.
Got to go through it. But as a fan, just looking at the other games, man, yeah, I want to see how does Tennessee play Bama this year?
Yeah, they got to go. They play the third Saturday in November.
They're gonna get Bama gonna get some feedback.
October, my bad. You're right. Third Saturday in October every year until next year. Maybe that changes.
If South Carolina can do what they did again against Clemson, that'd be great too.
Okay, Kobe, man, what games you looking forward to, man? Just as a college football fan, it's a lot of good ones out there, though.
Yeah, so like USC said, of course, Oregon versus Texas Tech. I got to see how we do versus that. I hope we pull that one out. Texas and Bama, that's an obvious one. I need Gus Johnson calling that game. I don't care. It's a night game too. I need Gus Johnson calling that game. So that's that. But just because of my HBCU ties, right? TCU and Colorado.
That's where I was going.
I'm just so interested because there's so many variables, right? I got to see how good Shador can be at the FBS level, because we all know he was damn near unstoppable in HBCU. Yeah. I need to see how good he is at this top level and where that'll determine his draft stock going forward. Travis Hunter, I got to see how good he is at this level of play. When he was on the field for Jackson State, couldn't stop him. I need to know where he's going to be, where he's best at going forward, whether that's cornerback or wide receiver. Spoiler alert, this wide receiver. That's just my opinion, but I got to see it. Cormani McClain, I got to see that duo. It's just so many things with Colorado that I need to see versus TCU. So that would be like my number one, just for that reason.
All right, let me ask you before we move to the other panel guests, being in that HBCU environment, man, I know that not everybody was happy with Prime when he left Jackson State. You know what I'm saying? So is there a collective, like, watching to see what's going to happen at Colorado from the HBCU community?
Yes. Yes. People can't wait. You got people watching, wanting to see this man like just crash and burn in the most horrible way, and then you got Jackson State fans who are so appreciative of what he's done for their program that they want to see him win, and then you got fans who don't necessarily like Prime because of how he left, but they still love Travis, they still love Shador. You know, they had a bunch of Jackson State guys leave behind Coach Prime to go to Colorado, like Jeremiah Brown. They still rooting for them. So you know, you got all those variables going on. So yes, everybody will be watching.
I got you.
Trust me.
I know. Prime is a polarizing figure, so a lot of people tune in, even if they ain't football fans. It's like Prime, like you either love or you hate him. You know, like you want to see him fail, but you still tune in. That's right. One thing, you gonna tune in. Shawty, man, what games you looking forward to, dog? I mean, just as a football fan, like, listen, man, I can sit around and watch. You know what I'm saying? Nevada play San Diego State myself, but what games you looking forward to, dog?
Yeah, before I answer that, man, I say Kobe, I did a HBCU and a PWI conversation on one of my shows, man. I really wish I could have had you there. And I'm sure that conversation will come back around at some point during the season, man. So I need to reach back out to you,
for sure,
get some type of contact, because I love to have your insight on your HBCU experiences.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah, to answer your question, I think someone already had mentioned it, but I'm very SEC, you know what I'm saying, invested. So I really want to see that Texas and Alabama game because I want to know who Nick Saban is going to trot out there on starting day as a quarterback. Because for me, that's going to say a lot about Alabama's team and where they're headed this year. And it also helps me get a barometer on kind of, you know, how I feel like, you know, the season's going to go or need to go for us.
That's right, because that's game 2. You know what I'm saying? So it's barbecue mildew, get off the pot. Jason, what you looking for, man? It's a lot of them out there, dog.
There's a lot of them on there. And, you know, they already brought up that Oregon-Texas Tech game. I think you get to find out what Texas Tech's all about right there. You know, is that you know, that's in your house. You need to kind of step forward and at least be very competitive in that game, right? So I'll kind of see how that works itself out. I'm looking forward to that Georgia-Tennessee game in Knoxville. You know, I think that if you look at the Georgia schedule, that's the toughest one on there, right? You know, it's to me that would be the hardest one on there. But I'm not sure that I trust I'm not sure I trust Joe Milton. But and by that time, if they've stumbled or something by then, you know, do you see Nico? You know, so you might get a little early Nico in that, and I don't know that you want to do that against a freaking defense like that. Put a freshman out there, but you may not have a whole lot of choice. You know, I mean that's true. Game. I'm looking forward to with the coach being on the coach on my show. He's a Notre Dame guy. I'm looking forward to that, seeing what they do against SC this season. You know, I think that's going to be a big game there. You know, you've got actually a quarterback in play now, and so and again, I think that'll be it's a tough road game for SC. So I'm looking forward to watching that one. As an OU dude, I mean, man, obviously the Red River game and the last Bedlam. You know,
that's what I was saying. The last Bedlam is definitely. I think it's going to be a little tension there too. Because
what game is that?
Oklahoma State versus Oklahoma at the end. I think I don't know, who, but I think it's a little tension on who didn't want to keep the rivalry, who did want to keep the rivalry, that kind of thing. I definitely think Oklahoma has the better roster.
Gundy's 3-16. We it's pretty easy to know who wanted to keep the rivalry.
When do they get tired of eating that Gundy sandwich?
Huh?
Bruh, Gundy's an Oklahoma State guy. I don't know when they're gonna get rid of the Gundy. I don't know.
They ain't.
You gotta be tired of eating that same old sandwich, man. It's like, come on, man.
Thank you, Sean. Hey, man. I hope they keep him forever, though.
Hey, who knows, man? Listen, I'm looking forward to Colorado, Nebraska, because both first-time head coaches at their respective schools, they've been having not a direct war of words, but some little shots thrown here and there. Matt Rule and Prime. Matt Rule got it done a little bit at Baylor, but Nebraska been in the dumps, bro, for like bro, I don't remember last time Nebraska was good. I think we all was like in high school or something. I don't know. It's been actually might have been before that, man. I'm looking forward to. I want to see what Clemson does, against Florida State in that first Clemson Florida State game, because can they keep the dominance over Florida State? I don't know. I know if Florida State loses to LSU in the first game, is it a must win? Is that first game against LSU a must win because of the Clemson game looming? You don't think that's a must win against LSU, Shawty?
No, just because it's out of conference.
Is it
just because it's out of conference? That'll always be your. That's always the scapegoat. It's out of conference. You know what I'm saying? You can always. It's easy to bounce back from that type of loss. You know what I'm saying? Because your goal is always still in front of you.
Yeah, the conference goal is in front of them, but if they got playoff goals, that game matters.
Yeah, but you cross that bridge when you get there. That's shit 10, 11 games from now. You got to rest on before you can think about playoff.
That's true. I'm looking forward to that USC Washington game. If everybody's healthy, you got Michael Penix, Caleb Williams, you got two of the best receiver cores in the nation. I think it's going to be an offensive fireworks, and it's going to be who can get that one stop in the fourth quarter. I think it's going to look a lot like, if healthy, I think it's going to look like a lot like USC UCLA game last year, where neither one of those quarterbacks, wanted to go into the night. I'm definitely looking forward to OU Texas because I know OU want to get some get back from that. Yeah, it wasn't pretty last year. Let's just say that it wasn't pretty, and I think they want to get some get back, especially before moving on to the SEC. Mike Hawk getting in saying he want to see that USC Oregon game. I think that I think the Pac-12 top to bottom is going to have more teams that can win their respective conference. That's what I was getting at last night. Jason, is not that they're better than the SEC or better than the Big Ten. I mean, inside their conference, competitively, like Oregon,
we got best quarterback play.
All of them. That's what I'm saying.
We haven't seen it like this in years, man.
It's crazy, dog. Like you got six. Like they got 12 teams, but you got 6 of them legit. I think can any given Saturday. Given Saturday, Oregon State is going to be better. You know what I'm saying? If all we waiting on to see is can Chip Kelly get his freshman quarterback, who was a 5-star, ready fast enough.
I saw him play in the All-American game. That dude has arm talent, and that's what I'm saying. Cat's open. He's real. He's real.
That's what the Pac-12, dog. 6 teams that can win the Pac-12 in my mind, and that may be a detriment to somebody from the Pac-12 trying to get to the college football playoff, because it might be a round robin of a whole bunch of some losses from all those top teams. Like I say, Washington,
they're gonna cannibalize themselves.
Exactly. Like USC could beat Utah, but then USC could lose to Washington. Washington could then turn around and lose to Oregon State. It's like, bro, it's like that the quarterback play out there is bananas, dog. And even Arizona, I mean, like I'm not saying they're not one of those teams that can fight for their conference, but they got some stuff going for them. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of good games. Now, this is my guy Talking Sauce. Y'all check him out. He's a Florida Gator.
Yeah.
He said that Miami, Texas A&M. I think it's gonna be interesting because I want to see what Bobby Petrino gonna look like. It is Fisher gonna let him just call the plays? Because if so, I'm telling you, the offense will be better this year. If
that's an opening, game.
No, it's not an opening game.
Oh, I was gonna say.
I think it's pretty early though, right?
I think it's like game
first 3 weeks.
That guy, I think that was like the same week Georgia and South Carolina play, right?
Yeah,
I think it's like
3.
September. Yeah, September 16th. Yeah, September 16th, man. That's gonna be and Cristobal, man, like, what is he doing? He can recruit, but I mean, he won the Pac-12 a couple of times, but he don't know what's going on down there at South Beaches. The weather is really nice down there. I went down there with my nephew for a visit. I don't know how they focus on anything other than the atmosphere down in Miami. I'm gonna be honest with you. But I guess that's a game you can look forward to. I'm actually looking forward to that Tennessee-Florida game because Tennessee has not beaten Florida at Florida since 2003. It's been 9 tries, dog. I don't care what's going on. It's been 9 tries at Florida, and they have not beaten Florida. And if they get Georgia at the end of the year, but before you get to Georgia, you got to go to Gainesville and actually come out with a W. You know what I'm saying? So All right, what we got? Hank says we all know Jimbo won't give up control. Listen here.
I think even if he does and it looks good early, he's still gonna put his hands in it, man. That's who Jimbo is. It's just who Jimbo is.
And got control over everything but his players.
Well, long as he running Petrino offense, it'll be better because with Jimbo running was so antiquated, man. That stuff was just.
Yeah,
he's been running it for 20, 30 years.
Yeah, big facts.
Big facts, man. Hey, man, I appreciate all y'all coming on. We getting to the end of 2 hours, man. Listen, we're gonna be doing this every Saturday night, you know, college football wrap up. We'll start at 10, probably talk about whatever West Coast game is still going on. But before we get out of here, man, I want to take time and let everybody shout out their channel, they followers, whatever we want to do. We'll go ahead and start with USC Jay, man. Jay, go ahead and tell the people where they can find you, dog, and everything about your social media, everything.
Absolutely, man. Hey, thank you, my brother. Thank you for letting me come on once again, man. Every time I come on, I enjoy it. You guys see it that just as you see it here on the channel on YouTube, it's just gonna be USCJ. On YouTube, on Instagram and Twitter, it's gonna be USCJ32. So that's my handle, man. That's where you can find me at, and usually find me posting all kinds of stuff. I do videos pretty much almost 7 days a week on my channel.
Every day. I'm like hitting them up like, no, you supposed to be working. Kobe, man, tell the people where they can get at you, and then I got a question about the HBCU.
Okay, yeah, man. Hey, the Blitz City podcast on YouTube is where you can find me. I talk about HBCU football primarily, but I do also talk about FBS football as well on the show I got on Fridays. That coach has been a guest on a few times called FBS Friday. I do with my panel. So, you know, definitely check that out. And on social media, Kobe Orr, like you see it, but it's all together. You can find me on any major social media site at Kobe Orr. That's it.
All right, Kobe, before I move on to the next person.
Blitz City podcast, is that?
Yeah, Blitz City. Yeah, Blitz City podcast on YouTube, and then Kobe Orr on Instagram, Twitter, you know, Facebook, whatever you want to find them. I want to ask you, we were talking about games to see. Tell everybody, because of course not everybody's as acclimated with the HBCU culture and things of that nature. Give them a game. Now that the prime ain't in, everybody don't keep up with it. Give them a game if they want to watch a HBCU game to try to get into it or whatever. Give them a game this year that they need to check out.
If you want to get into HBCU football, rivalries is the way to go. So Jackson State and Southern, those two schools hate each other. I got a chance to experience it for the first time in person. It's insane. You have to experience that. Also, I would look at the Bayou Classic versus Grambling and Southern. I would look at that. You know, those are two really good rivalry games if you really just want to get into it. But it's Jackson State and Southern, you know, just that's the game you need to go to. But if you're just looking for a meaningful game, like a really big game to start out the season, Florida A&M, Jackson State. That's really going to decide who wins that conference, man. It's been that way for the past 2 years. Ain't nothing going to change about it. You know, even with Dion still leaving. So those are 3 games that y'all should definitely check out. But Southern, Jackson State over all of them. That'll get you.
I got you. All right, Shawty, tell the people where they can find you, man.
Oh, man, I got to step my game up, man. These guys everywhere, Instagram and Twitter and you know, I don't do all that kind of stuff, man, but you can catch me, you know, on Wednesday nights, 9 o'clock, you know what I'm saying, my podcast, Just My Damn Opinion. And we're just talking about sports, news, gossip. I call it barbershop talk. Just a little bit of everything, man, because at the end of the day, you know, opinions are like assholes. Everybody got one, and I got one too. So check out Just My Damn Opinion on Wednesday night, man.
There it is, man. Live stream. I got Shorty, Just My Damn Opinion. All right, man. Shout out to the HOF Mafia, man, for showing up strong today. We definitely appreciate y'all, all the ones that's done subscribe to the channel, man. I love interacting with y'all, man. Shout out to Kim. She always the first one to welcome me into the chat when I come on.
Yeah,
the show,
Kim's
man.
a he. Kim's a he.
Oh, I'm sorry. Shout out to Kim, man. My bad. I see
Mafia, man. Yeah.
Go ahead and tell the people where they can find you, Jason.
We appreciate the Mafia for sure, you know. But yeah, you can find me. It's at JW_HOF on Twitter. I don't know how I screwed that up on there, but that's what it is. And then you can always find us at hofmedia.us. That's our website. It'll take you to all of our spots. At CFB-pod on YouTube, which is where we are most of the time. So
Yeah, Jason, you're on what, like every day, right?
Pretty much. We're doing about 5 days a week these days. As the season gets started, we will be at 5 days a week. The last week or so, I hadn't done as many, but we're staying steady going, man. This is what we do, man. We talk football and we love to talk ball. I appreciate being on this channel, man. It is a lot of fun with all you guys.
Yeah, man. Hey, I appreciate all y'all coming on. And every week when I do this on Saturday at some point while you watching the game, you're gonna get a message with a StreamYard link. You're always welcome to come back in. Like I say, we'll be doing this every Saturday at 10 p.m. Eastern time. Stat Guy is my co-host. You know where you can find him at. I think you gotta put some more quarters in. Stat Guy, you froze down there. I think so, man. I don't know what's going on, bro. He's late in the day, dog. Who knows what's going on? But man, it's been a good show, dog. College football, August. Listen, first of all, week 0, August 26th. I don't know who's gonna be watching. I'll be watching the Navy Notre Dame game just because, hey, man, it's in Ireland. Why not watch it? I know SC, y'all got a game that day. Who y'all take on? Is it Fresno State?
No, we got San Jose State.
San Jose State. Hey, man, I knew it was one of them states out there. Y'all trying to sneak that game in and get ready for the real competition the next week. I see what y'all doing out there.
Hey, Coach. Hey, Coach. I'm going to say this to Jason on USCJ. Hey, man, it feels good to be on top, man, because the kind of conversation y'all having, I don't even have to have those no more.
Hey, the thing about it, you know how it feels to be on. You know how it feels to be on top. We know how it feels to be, but they don't know how it feels to be on top. So that's a whole other situation. I was.
Hold on.
Hey, I didn't say that, Jay.
Listen now, Jay. Y'all won early 2000s. Bob Stoops won in Oklahoma too. Now.
Yep, he did.
What was it? One? It wasn't even one, was it? Was it one?
It was
one. Yeah, he won one.
They played for some more, but there was one.
Okay. Yeah.
Listen, man. And sorry, hey, man. Hey,
they definitely been good this whole time, though. You know, unlike SC, but that's all right.
Yeah, shout out to everybody that showed up in the comments,
man. We need Lincoln Riley, man. He got us back.
Yeah, maybe he's y'all Pete Carroll. We'll see, man. But definitely, man. Shout out to my guy Kobe. Say dogs on top. Yeah, man. I appreciate that. And hey, Jason, you already know. You see the comments, man. You got a stalker as always.
Yeah,
we're not gonna give him. We're not gonna
5-star clown.
Yeah. We're not gonna give him no props on him. But hey, man, I appreciate you helping the video out nonetheless. Hey, y'all go check out all these people. Shawty at My Damn Opinion on YouTube, Kobe Orr at Blitz City Podcast on YouTube, USCJ on YouTube, and my guy Jason Watkins, Hall of Fame College Football on YouTube, man. That's it for us, man. Saturday Night Snap Count. We out of here.
I'll be safe.